my friends are synths.
As you can probably tell from the sun beating on my face, today's weather in Glasgow is actually fairly nice for a change. However, I am not going to be spending it outside because all last night I couldn't get to sleep for thinking about video feedback. I know that's a bit of a strange thing to be kept awake at night by, however that's just the way my brain works. And I wanted to spend today experimenting with, some of my analog video rig. I have just wired it all up again a couple of days ago after part of it was out for repair. So I thought I would show you some of what I'm doing. If you've ever experimented with video feedback before or analog video gear, then you're not going to learn anything here. This is nothing groundbreaking or new or anything like that. It's just that I haven't done it in a while. It's worth noting that all of the kind of clips and stuff I record off of my TVs are available on the Patreon. So if you want to go and download a bunch of weird analog video feedback stuff that you can use in your own creations, that's where you go to find it. So let's take a look. Let's go over here. Fuck. So for those of you who haven't seen my analog video rig before, this is its current status on a giant kind of industrial bench thing that I built a while back because I was concerned that the table I had it on was going to collapse. But I'll quickly walk you through what's going on here. I have a Kramer switcher down here, which is the VS162AVM. This is a beautiful multi-channel input and output matrix, which allows me to quickly route my analog video signals between different locations and experiment with various combinations of things. This is one of my favourite utilitarian bits of gear. This was the reason that the video rig has been out of action for a while, because it blew up. The output transformer or power or whatever the fuck it is stopped working and had to get replaced. Cost a couple of £100. However, I got this thing for £50 when they cost about 2,000 brand new, so it was well worth the cost. The best thing about this is it has a wee preview screen, but also it's got 16 ins and outs which are composite, and this is really unusual, and they're usually only 8 or 4 or something. I've talked about my old one in the other video where I talked about my video rig, but yeah, this is the beauty. So to explain what's going on today, I have my Edirol V4 here, which is the old classic Roland video mixer with composite inputs and outputs. This is acting as the centerpiece for everything today, and effectively what's going on is the video signal from the Edirol V4 is coming out. It is then travelling through the mixer here, or the matrix switcher I should say, and going into this beautiful thing, which is the Mescaline Synthwave Killah, which is basically a circuit bent modified old JVC GXC7 video color corrector. This cost a pretty penny, but it's one of my favourite best bits of video gear. Now, this basically fucks up the signal and does all sorts of strange things to it. The signal from this then goes out, back through the KVM matrix, and back into the Edirol V4. So effectively what we're doing is creating a video feedback loop where the output of this goes back into itself, but it's been run through one of the circuit bent devices to give it a wee bit of extra flavour and stuff. Now this means that effectively you get all sorts of interesting patterns and colourful reproductions and oddness on your TV. There's a whole bunch of TVs in this setup. It's worth noting that at the moment you won't really be able to see what's going on with them because of the aperture and the exposure settings on the camera, but I'll fix that in a wee minute. These two TVs here are basically just preview displays. I'm not actively doing anything with them. They just give me another kind of perspective on what the video feedback could look like. Each individual TV, due to its age and design and, contrasting colour settings, all can give you slightly different pictures, and it can be cool to record off one or another and, mix and match. So that's why I have so many of them. These two are on just now. This TV down here, unfortunately, the SCART input broke, so I can't use it at the moment. I need to try and fix that. That's why it's all shrouded in darkness, but that would usually be on. It's got some really great pumped up saturation, which I love. This TV up here is this beautiful old retro vintage looking RF only thing, so that means it only takes an aerial input. This is a really cool old thing, but it is black and white, so it's not much use for today because I'm doing colour video feedback, but I do really like this. The two main televisions that I'm using are this PVM here, which is I can't remember, a JVC PVM 13-inch or something. It's a bit unusual because it's larger. And then we have this big beast in the corner, which is, if you've watched any of my other video feedback or video art videos, I guess, then you'll know about this one. This is an unusual 16:9. Is it 16:9? I don't know, but it's a widescreen television, which is quite unusual in the CRT world, at least here in the UK. And the way I record everything is not by using a USB capture card or anything. I usually point to a camera, in this case, the Sony a7 IV, and I just basically rescan what's on the TV, so just record, literally, off the screen. There's my unimpressed dog. He doesn't love being in here when this is happening. Okay, if I dial down the aperture on this camera, you will begin to see what's going on this television a bit better. Now, at the moment, it's just kind of flashing white and not particularly interesting, and that's because I've left it to run on a particular setting, which means, well, nothing great is happening. But what I'm going to do is tweak various knobs on this Synthwave Killah, which is the circuit bent video enhancer that is in the feedback circuit, and then you will see what's happening on the screen begin to change and morph and do all sorts of beautiful things, like so. Now, the Edirol V4 is playing a key role in the setup today because not only is it facilitating the whole feedback loop, but it also allows me to blend between the two signals that I've got in different and interesting ways. There's loads of different effects baked into the V4 itself, including luma keys, chroma keys, different types of wipes, colorization effects, inversions, all that kind of stuff. And the cool thing is that whatever you apply on the V4 then gets fed right back into the feedback loop. Now, one of the particular features that I've been playing around with is the ability to automatically blend between your two signals at a particular BPM. Now, you can MIDI sync this, but that's not important for me today. I've just set it at a particular BPM I thought it was good. And if you combine that with a chroma key or a luma key or a colorization effect, it can be a bit more subtle, and it just gives you this beautiful, generative, I don't know, loveliness. In this video, I've been playing about with some of my analog video gear, and I hope that was interesting. But I think it's important to say that whilst I have obviously fallen down this particular rabbit hole to a fairly extreme degree, if you're interested in video feedback experimentation, you don't need to get anything particularly fancy in order to do so. The Edirol V4, for example, is an analog video mixer that you can pick up for a few £100s, and basically you just route the output back into the input on there and play about with effects, and you can get some pretty cool results. Another even cheaper way is to take an old camera, an old video display unit of some kind, whether it's a TV or a monitor or something, and just point the camera back at the video so that it is infinitely looping itself. And you can, I mean, you'll be surprised at the results you can get. If you are interested in finding out more, I've got a whole bunch of other videos and video art stuff that you can watch below or up there or whatever it is. Yeah, I should probably know that by now. But for now, I'm going to leave you with some music and some visuals that I have painstakingly created today. And if you want to download any of them, you know where the Patreon link is. Thank you, and goodbye.